It's the 100th episode. We have to have you. We also have someone else coming on after this. And
you might know him.
Was this important to you too, that the 100th episode had to be big? It had to be.
It was, yeah, the 100th episode. I mean, also back in old time television, as you guys remember, 100 episodes was a huge deal. Like that meant your show. That's usually like, that was the magic number for syndication. That was the magic number. We never thought it would go on for another 100 after that, 100 plus. And so this was a huge deal. And Miles and I knew that this would be the episode that Jonathan died. John Schneider didn't know that until we told him at the beginning of the season. Not very happy. So, and oddly, I think Kristen was kind of annoyed that she didn't die in that episode. But
she wanted to die.
I think she wanted to die at that point.
Yeah.
But no, it was a crucial thing. And, it's such a huge part of the Superman lore. It felt like, Clark, obviously the show was about him growing up and his family. So what is it that, a huge milestone where, you lose a parent, but we also wanted to do it in a way that, we knew it from the comics and from the movie and everything. And how do we do it? And how do we make it this kind of Faustian bargain with Jor-El? It's always like, this show is really about, parents and children, fathers and sons. And I, by the way, I just rewatched it. So it's good. It's really good. Beeman directed the hell out of it. It's Tom, you're fantastic. Michael, you're fantastic. I love that scene with you and Lana, like when she said yes to the thing, and then you were drunk, and then just the turns in that scene were all fantastic. I mean, they're really fantastic.
What I really liked is the fact that Lionel was a part of Jonathan's heart attack. That's not in that's you guys, right? Like that's not in the comics, right? Yeah.
What you'll find out, and it's funny because I wasn't sure if you found out in this episode or you find out down the road, is that he's tied to Clark's adoption. Like, who could cover up? Who could fake an adoption? Like that. Yeah. Our joke was always, Smallville was Superman with paperwork. Like you had to explain all the shit like that just was like taken for granted. Like they just, the spring rolled around and Martha had a kid and everybody was cool with it. It's just the meteor shower covered his entrance into the atmosphere. All of these things that we were trying to kind of put some, I'll call it reality, but certainly reality for our world. And one was, who is the person who could help Jonathan and Martha fake an adoption? And that was, so Jonathan had made, again, he'd made a Faustian deal with the devil, with Lionel. And then, Tom, in order to save Lana, Clark makes a deal with Jor-El. And I totally forgot about the Lois fake out, which was good. You know what I mean? Like there are certain things in that episode that I forgot. Though the most 2005, 2006 about that episode has to be the James Blunt song in the teaser. That was, which I think works great. And I love that it's funny because I remember it was snowing, and I always loved that we played the seasons as we were shooting because it just gave it a reality. And I thought Kristen was fantastic. Like she's just really,
you know, Al, you said something that I just have to respond to. You said how this show is about father and sons. It's about this and that. But in the beginning, John Glover, you weren't sure if he was going to, how many episodes? It became sort of a Lex Lionel.
Here's what we figured out. And we figured it out. And that's why John, thank God, came and was a guest star in season 1. Because he was, I think, remember at the time he was doing a show on Broadway.
Yeah.
We could get him.
Yep.
He'd fly out Sunday afternoon, shoot Monday, fly back Monday night. And, because he had to be, on the show on Tuesday. But I think what we found was, I would say in the pitch, it was puberty with superpowers. But then I think as we got into the first season, we realized it's really it's about extreme parenting. It's the Kents and the Luthers.
And that's what it came about. Yeah.
And that's really what it was about. And when you look at the episodes, even like something like Memoria, which was really a deep dive where you saw for a minute that Lionel loved Lex. And then once, Lex, you took the once Lex took the fall for his mother killing his brother, we like to be super subtle and non-Shakespearean in the show. But but you saw like there was a break there. And I think, here it's you see, the lengths that even Jonathan Kent, who was the salt of, as you say in the show, the salt of the earth farmer, would make, certain deals with the devil. What I do find funny about Jonathan just watching this episode, I was like, you would have lasted 3 minutes in the Senate because he would have like thrown a punch at somebody and that would have been the end of it. I'm like, wow, I was like, geez, Jonathan, just, maybe dial it back a little bit, but I would maybe not start with a fist to the face.
Yeah.
But I thought he was, and the other thing too, which is interesting, is I do think part of the reason, Lex goes down the road he goes down is because Jonathan Kent, a guy who would give everybody else a second chance, he made his mind up about Lex in the first episode of the show.
Yeah.
And he never changed it. And I think that that lack of empathy for Lex is one of the reasons that he, that like, you know what I mean? Because when Jonathan would do that, it's like, it always made Clark suspicious. Like he set a tone again, because he knew the deal we find out he made with Lionel, and he doesn't trust Lionel, nor should he. But he, it's, we say it all the time, it's the sins of the father. So it's...
Well, you guys wrote one of the best lines in the history of the show, which is, "You were right about me all along, Mr. Kent. I am the villain.
I am the villain of the story."
That's the best. Oh, by the way, I like that you didn't milk it or sugarcoat it. When he dies, he just looks at his wife and he looks at Clark and he dies. He doesn't sit there and go, "I love you. You've always been a great son." You could have hoked it up a little bit, and you didn't. It was very subtle.
And I think I think a lot of that credit goes to Greg Beeman as well. So I think Michael, I'm sure those takes existed. And I think we got to a very simple, because, you don't want it to be too.
It was just perfect. It was so abrupt, but he just looked at his loved ones, smiled, half smiled, and then just died. And it was like, because I bet there was something written where it was like, "Clark, listen to me. You take care of your mother, and you do this, and you're a good boy, and Martha, you're always the love of my life." And it could have been so cheesy, and it probably would have worked in a way, but this really hit me. It really hit me.
Yeah.